Hello, and welcome to In Light of It All. I'm Xander Cadisch. I want to start by admitting something. I am not an expert. I'm a traveller on a journey of discovery. For as long as I can remember, I've been fascinated by the invisible forces that quietly shape our well-being. I'm talking about things we hardly notice day to day. Light, texture, sound, colour, even the architecture around us. These elements are like a hidden ecosystem in our homes and offices, subtly nudging our mood, our health, and our happiness. My curiosity about these forces isn't academic, it's personal. I felt my own energy soar on a bright day and crash under flickering fluorescent lights. I found comfort in a room with warm wood and soft edges and felt uneasy in a windowless box. These experiences sparked a question in me. What else is going on here? If I'm not a scientist by training, I'm certainly a lifelong student of experience, eager to learn and to share. So in this show, I invite you to join me as a fellow curious soul, exploring how things like light and design influence us in ways we might never have imagined. Because this isn't just a podcast about lighting, it's about everything that intertwines with light, how it interacts with colour, with surface, with space, and with our minds and bodies. So about looking at the total environment, not in pieces, but as a living system. And that's why it's called In Light of It All. The title reflects our mission, to illuminate both literally and metaphorically the full range of forces that shape our everyday spaces, and to explore how we might design better in and amongst it all. We're not just studying light in isolation, we're looking at it all, in context, to discover the best ways to build healthier, happier human habitats. Light is a big one for me. We often think of light as just illumination, something we flip on to see. But light is literally a form of radiation, a wave of energy that touches us on a cellular level. The right kind of light can heal. In fact, doctors use targeted light to treat conditions from skin diseases to depression. For example, bright light therapy can realign our circadian clocks and boost our mood during dark winter months. But light can also harm. Step outside on a scorching noon without protection and you get the idea. UV sunlight can burn our skin. Even the artificial light we bathe in after dark can mess with our biology. We flood our evenings with light, and research shows that all this light at night throws off our internal body clock, wrecking our sleep and possibly contributing to issues like obesity and heart disease. Wild. Something as intangible as a glow from a bulb can tinker with our hormones and our cells. Light itself isn't good or bad, it's just powerful. It has the power to heal or to harm, depending on how we use it. And I realised I'd never truly respected that power until recently. This hit home and I learnt a staggering fact. We spend about 90% of our lives indoors. 90%. That means by the time you're 40, you've likely racked up 36 years inside walls. Think about it. Most of our existence plays out under roofs and artificial skies. In fact, many of us today actually spend less time outdoors than maximum security prisoners. Even inmates in the strictest prisoners are guaranteed about 2 hours of outdoor yard time a day, while so many free people struggle to get even that in a week. It gets crazier. A scientist pointed out that some whales spend more time at the ocean's surface than we do outside in the natural air. Picture a blue whale coming up to breathe. Now consider that we, creatures of the land, might surface from our buildings even less. That comparison stopped me in my tracks. It's like we've unwittingly become a generation of indoor divers, holding our breath as life passes us by just beyond the glass window. When I first heard these facts, I felt a mix of disbelief and determination. Disbelief at how easily I forget that my body craves sun and wind, and determination to understand what this indoor life means for our well-being. Living 90% indoors wouldn't be so bad if those indoor environments were perfectly attuned to us, but let's be honest, they're often not. Modern buildings and gadgets have given us comfort and convenience, yet in doing so, they sometimes ignore fundamental human needs. Here's an example that shocked me. Flicker in artificial lighting. In some extreme interrogation methods, flashing strobe lights are actually used as a form of torture, an overload of stimulus designed to break the spirit. Yet today, flickering lights are everywhere. The cheap overhead LED in your office that subtly pulses, the fluorescent tube in your kitchen that your eyes don't consciously notice but your brain does. All of this is picked up when you video a light using your mobile phone. Many standard lights flicker at rates we might not explicitly see, but our brains still sense that jitter that your mobile phone picks up. I've learned that for some people, this invisible flicker can trigger headaches, fatigue, even anxiety. It's ironic and unsettling. A tool once wielded to inflict distress is now commonplace in the places where we work, learn, and live. When I realised this, I started paying attention. That buzzing, that subtle strobe effect behind the scenes, and I wondered, what is it doing to us long term? If light can stress or soothe us, are we paying attention to which we invite into our homes? That question is at the heart of what I want to explore. And it goes beyond light. Think of texture, the feel of natural wood versus cold steel, or sound, a gentle hush of a library versus the cacophony of an open office. Think of colour, how a pale green room might calm you while an intense red one raises your alertness. Think of the very architecture of a space, high ceilings versus cramped ones, windows or no windows. All of these elements form a kind of silent orchestra playing on our senses and psyche. Yeah, for most of my life, I hardly noticed them individually. They were just part of the backdrop of indoors. Now I see them as key pieces of a puzzle. What if we could tune that orchestra to play in harmony with our minds and bodies? It turns out I'm not alone in asking these questions. There's a whole movement in design and science looking at exactly this, biophilic design. It comes from biophilia, meaning the love of living things, and it's about designing spaces to reconnect us with nature. The idea is simple yet profound. We humans evolved for millions of years in natural environments, so our brains and bodies still expect those natural cues. We have a biologically encoded affinity for nature, a need for it, the way we need food or water. Contact with the natural world isn't just a luxury, it's essential to our well-being. When we bring elements of nature into our built environment, sunlight, plants, fresh air, natural materials, even shapes and patterns that mimic nature, studies show it can reduce stress, improve healing, and enhance cognitive function. It's like our bodies sigh in relief. This feels right. I find this idea incredibly inspiring, that by tweaking our man-made spaces to honour our ancient bond with nature, we can actually feel better every day. And guess what? Some of the most forward-thinking companies have caught onto this. Take Google, for example. Google has been redesigning its offices with biophilic principles in mind, not just to look cool, but to help people thrive. Walk into one of their campuses and you might find indoor gardens, natural light pouring in, wooden finishes, maybe even birds and bees in a rooftop green space. They do this because it reduces stress and boosts creativity and performance of their employees. One Google team member said they aim to create workspaces that make employees healthier, happier, and more engaged. And it's not just feel-good fluff, it's backed by research. Study after study shows that when we're closer to nature, even directly, we become more focused, productive, and content. So if the brightest minds in tech are spending billions to weave nature back into high-tech offices, it begs the question, why aren't we all doing this in our own homes? I certainly don't have an office dome filled with 40,000 plants, it'd be nice, but even small changes, a house plant, a sunlit corner, a natural fabric, might make a real difference. If Google can reimagine a workspace to benefit their bottom line and their people, surely we can reimagine the everyday places we eat, sleep, and raise our families. This leads to a deeper curiosity that's driving this podcast. How can we combine neuroscience, design, and technology to build spaces that help us live healthier, happier lives? In other words, what would it look like to truly optimize our homes and workspaces for human well-being? I'm intrigued by the cutting edge of this question. Neuroscience is revealing how things like lighting, colour, and intensity affect our brain chemistry and hormones. Designers and architects are coming up with ingenious ways to make indoor spaces feel open, alive, and attuned to our senses. Technology is giving us smart lights that change colour temperature throughout the day, sound systems that mask noise pollution with calming nature sounds, ventilation systems that mimic natural breezes. There's so much innovation happening, but most of us don't hear about it in everyday life. I want to bring these ideas out of the research labs and corporate campuses and into our homes. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about fancy buildings or Silicon Valley experiments, it's about protecting the places we call home. Whether home is a city apartment, a suburban house, or a single room, it's your sanctuary. It's where life happens. We should feel as safe and nourished in our homes as we do on a walk in the woods or a day at the beach. So I invite you to join me on this journey of curiosity. In light of it all, I'll be exploring these questions with a sense of wonder and humility. I don't have all the answers, not even close. but I have a growing passion to find them by talking to experts, poring over research, and perhaps most importantly, by paying attention to my own experiences and yours. Together, we'll shine a light on the unseen factors that shape our health and happiness. We'll challenge some old assumptions about what it means to live comfortably, and hopefully, we'll discover practical ideas to make our own lives better. Little changes or big rethinks that help us live well in our modern habitats. Imagine if we could redesign our world so being healthy and happy was the natural outcome of simply living in our homes. That's the vision that inspires me. I'm excited and a bit nervous in a good way to embark on this exploration with you. So here's to being curious, staying open-minded and rethinking what it really means to live well. Thank you for being here at the start of this adventure. Now, in light of it all, let's begin.